So that means you're going to have to be, all your stuff is going to have to be, either it's going to have to be going with me to church or do it on the way to, or it has to be right on the way. It can't deviate. It has to be something that's right on the way. It can't deviate. Yep.